Do you guys remember about 3 years ago I did unbox a dishwasher from Viomi, and till today it still works. And now I'm gonna unbox 4 robot vacuums from the same brand and show it to you. So I've lined up the robots according to their specs and price point. First, we have V2 Max, which costs about $399, followed by V3 Max, that's $549, V5 Pro, $649. And if you want to add a dock, which is the Alpha 2 Pro, it's gonna cost $849. Take note, this is in Singapore dollars. So I unboxed all the robots and lay it out here. I'm going to go through these 2 robots first because they're closer in specs. And first up is Viomi V2 Max. It's a very nice matte black color. Very sleek. And for accessories, it came with 2 different types of tank. This is the combination tank, which means you can mop and you can vacuum. It holds about 300 ml of dust and then 200 ml of water. But if you just want to mop, right, you need a bigger water tank, then you can consider this. It's 550 ml. But take note, once you install this, you cannot vacuum. It's just for mopping. And depending on which water tank you use, you have to change accordingly. This is for the combination tank, and this is just for the mopping tank. And across all the robots, they give you 2 brushes. And of course, 1 charging cable. Next up is V3 Max. It's a very shiny robot compared to V2. So it came with this protective layer. And then I turn it the other way because that's how you open up the flap. It's in the opposite direction. So for the water tank, okay, it's a combination one. Holds 200 milliliters of water. Dust box capacity is 400, slightly bigger than V2 Max. So if you want an additional water tank, you have to purchase it, and it's so much bigger, it's 700 milliliters. And for accessories, you get 2 mop pads, 10 disposable mop pads, cleaning brush, and charging cable. So what exactly is the difference here? The suction power is 2400 versus 2700. Battery size 3200 versus 5200. A big difference. And it makes sense for you to invest in a robot with a bigger battery size if you live in a bigger house. So 5200 will be able to cover a lot of surface area in one run. And next up is V5 Pro. Do you notice this laser thing is now in the middle? Okay, the cool thing about it is it has more laser, 4 lines of laser. So the navigation is supposedly better than other robots. Okay, I'm going to put this down. I noticed you cannot open it up from the top. Okay, to access the tank, you have to turn it around. It's behind. So it's a combination tank. So the dust box is here. I do not know how much is the capacity. It doesn't state on their website. My guess is maybe 200. And then the water tank here holds 300 milliliters of water. And you might have noticed the V5 Pro and the Alpha 2 Pro looks exactly the same. So you're paying an additional $200 for this dock. Okay, it's a self-empty dock. So for V5 Pro and Alpha 2 Pro, you get the same amount of accessories, 2 mop pads, 10 disposable ones. But for Alpha 2 Pro, you get 2 additional dust bags. So last night, I managed to charge all the robots and I connected it all to the app. And I'm going to run some tests today. And because the Alpha 2 Pro and the V5 Pro are the same model, they get very confused. If I turn both on together, they are not going to know where to charge. So now I'm going to switch off the V5 Pro and just run a test for Alpha 2, V3, and V2 Max. And for the test, I'm going to confine the robot to this area. We'll see how the robot handles the carpet, the piano edges, and then the binoculars, and then also some barley seeds here. So how did the V2 Max do? It did move the binoculars by a little bit, and then it didn't finish all the barley seeds because when it was sweeping like this direction, instead of sweeping it in, it swept a little into the carpets. So that's why it didn't finish the job, because this was another obstacle for it. I noticed there are very little barley seeds left, and I checked under the rug, there aren't any. So pretty good results, and I guess it's the direction that it went, this way. And then the V2 went like this way, which was hitting the carpet and it prevented it from doing its work. So for the binoculars, I'm a bit confused because I feel that it didn't avoid it as well as its predecessor, the V2 Max. I really like the Alpha 2 Pro because the suction power is really good at 4000 PAR. It vacuumed most of the barley seeds all at one go. But just a little complaint that the side brush went a little too strong and like moved some of the barley seeds aside instead of into the vacuum. And I also like that it was really gentle when it was moving around the piano because I don't want it to scratch. And then for the binoculars, it barely touched the binoculars. You know why? Because it has like 2 LDS laser. It's able to map out like where are the obstacles and avoid it as much as possible. Okay, pretty good weather today, and I'm going to go through with you some of the functions inside the robot from V2 Max, V3 Max, V5 Pro and Alpha 2 Pro. The good news is they are all about the same. So you can choose how you want to start, vacuum, vacuum and mop, or just mop. You can choose the suction power from quiet to strong and the water level that goes onto the mop pad. So for map management, you can customize the room. Okay, you can do area vacuuming. You can select a very specific area that you want to vacuum. So that's what I did with the previous test. You know, I set one area that I want to vacuum. Okay, and there is also point vacuuming, so you can select on the map, like, okay, this is the point that I want it to go to. And you can set virtual walls. So what I did here is I section out all these areas because I want to just let it move around in this area. You can also set, say, that you don't want it to mop your kitchen area, but you want it to vacuum. So that you can. And the last part here, the area editor. So you can merge some of the rooms that it already mapped out. You can split it if you don't want the area to be so big, and you can rename it. And then into the settings, you have vacuum along the borders, you have repeat vacuuming, you have mopping and vacuuming. So the S shape and the Y shape is how it mops. So you can mop like this way or in a Y direction. So this is how it will go. Vacuuming records means like how much you have vacuumed. It's like a record log, you know, the duration and where it went. And then vacuuming appointment, basically that's scheduling. Okay, so that's about it. And it's the same across all the robots. But I noticed that V5 Pro and Alpha 2 Pro, they have the sequence. So it's under user defined. You can select like which room you want it to start first. But before you do that, you have to rename, split, and merge the rooms. Then you can customize like, okay, this is the sequence I want it to go into. Room 1 first, room 3, then room 2. So you can set the sequence here. So that's the only function that I see that's not available in the other two V2 and V3 Max robots. I do have a lot in my mind, but it's impossible to squeeze everything into one video, but I will try to feature as much as possible. So let's start with one complaint, which is that the no mop zone doesn't work properly. It functions the same as no go zone, which shouldn't be the case. Next, I don't like the V5 Pro for one reason. The dust box is quite small, okay? The water tank is also very small as compared to like the V3. Look at the dust box, it can hold so much more. So look at the Alpha 2 and the V5 Pro, they look exactly the same. Even this component is exactly the same. The explanation is really simple. The V5 Pro was built to work with the self-emptying dock. So without it, you are limited by the dust box size. And if you are just looking for a standalone robot, I will still recommend the V2 and the V3 because it will do the bare minimum for an average size household. It's able to mop and vacuum, and I would say pretty decent for the price point. Okay, for the Alpha 2 Pro, I wanted to show you how the self-emptying will work. Okay, I'm gonna install the tank back and send it back to the dock. And now for the moment of truth. Ta, 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 ta. There is nothing left, so it managed to suction out all the dust and dirt from the vacuum unit into the self-emptying dock, so into this dust bag. So a really nice dust bag. This is an activated charcoal dust bag. Okay, you can see from the lining, it's pretty dense, so you don't have to worry about like the dust flying out or the dust escaping from this unit because that is a triple filtering system. Okay, the first filter actually comes from the dust box itself. So that is the filter here. And then one more from here. Okay, this is where the air comes out. And of course, the third one is from the dust bag. So this dust bag also prevents like the dirt from escaping from inside. You can see there's a lot of hair, dirt. I don't know if I can show you. So yeah, a little bit. But when you take out, you don't have to worry. You can close the gap. So when you take it out, it's nice and clean. And I got to show you the inside here. You don't get any like dirt and dust. Okay? Everything that is suctioned out from the hole goes directly into this dust bag. So, well, I would say pretty neat. I've been saying throughout this video that the V5 and the Alpha 2 Pro works the same way. They have the same dust box. So now I'm going to prove it to you. This is the V5 dust box. This is the Alpha 2 dust box. Okay, I take it out. I'm going to put the V5 dust box into the Alpha 2 Pro, and I'm going to send it to the dock to empty it.
During charging, recommend to remove mop pad and clean and maintain in time.
Ta-da! Almost nothing left. Got a bit but I think it's pretty decent. So I guess you really know like which robot here is my favorite. I'll either go for the standalone ones, V2, V3, or the Alpha 2 Pro with the dock, because that's going to save you a lot of time. One last feature I forgot to mention is that all the robots here, they work with Mi Home app, which is the Xiaomi ecosystem, and that only the Alpha 2 Pro works with Google and Alexa. So that's kind of it for this video. I hope you found it useful, and feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!